Philly, what is going on? We are back for volume 6, Jay, volume 6 of Drunk on Ice. Glad to be back. We're doing a little bit of recon for the Flyers, trying to get everybody caught up on all of the happenings of the last couple weeks of the Flyers. Jay, welcome back. We're back.
What's up?
The co-host with the most. Go ahead.
What's up, brother? Man, it's been we keep saying it, but it's like realistically, I'm really digging this every other week show because, like I said, it does give you a lot more to talk about. And wow, so many things have changed since the last time you and I were together. Like it's just crazy. Like I know time flies, but like really, it's been like a whirlwind. Pretty much all around sports, not even just hockey in general. It's been crazy.
Jay, I mean, listen, last time we talked, the Flyers had a new coach. They had since then they've had a double-digit losing streak followed by a 3-game winning streak. They've got their interim coach. Like there's a lot going on, and that's just with the Flyers.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, I know we got a lot of, obviously we don't get into the political stuff, but we do got a lot of COVID stuff going on around all leagues. I mean, NBA, NHL, and NFL. I mean, obviously, even just the last game, was played with no fans in Canada. So, I mean, it's crazy what's going on right now in the world.
Listen, we're a hockey pod, right? But we'd be remiss if we didn't say, make sure you're being safe. Safety is the number one thing for you, for your friends, for your family. So, whatever that level of safety is for you, make sure you're going out there, make sure you're taking care of your people, and just, make sure we do what we got to do to make sure we, enjoy the next couple weeks of, if you're getting together with people, just be smart, be on the lookout for, just keeping families and friends safe. So,
Absolutely.
Jay, I was going to bring that up, but like we can get right into it. The fact that the Flyers played a game the other night in Montreal, but in front of nobody. Talk to me.
I mean, well, I didn't get to watch the game because I was at work, but of course I got the alert, and then of course I started getting some text messages like, "Did you see the news? Did you see the news?" And it's like, oh, here we go again. Like it kind of brings back memories that I don't want to remember. Like obviously when COVID first went down, and and then hockey finally came back and they played in the bubble.
I mean, listen, there were parts of the bubble that I liked. There were parts of that I didn't mind. I loved like the more intimate coverage. I definitely enjoyed, but I definitely I don't want to get back to. I think it's making sure that. And this is the thing that's happening with the NFL, right? Making sure that whatever the protocols that are put in place, make sure they're being followed and stay consistent. The best way to keep everybody safe, keep the players safe, keep the coaches safe, keep the fans safe, be consistent. So whatever you're putting in place, if that means that you got to adapt and change, right? But remember, at the heart of it all is player and fan safety.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess my whole thing about everything in general when it comes to the COVID is I just wish that there wasn't so much hate on both sides of the arguments. Like, listen, we all have to get along. Listen, I get it. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. You may not agree with somebody's opinion, but there's too much hate going around, and Twitter's driving it. Like, realistically, Twitter is driving hate.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we're all human. Like,
right.
Listen, once again, I don't like to get political, and I know you don't either. But
No.
I myself, I happen to be vaccinated. You know, I believe, you know, it's the right thing to do, you know, to protect everybody else. You know, I know that Philadelphia has passed the law, and it's, I guess, as of January 1st, that all fans that are going to these games are going to have to provide proof of vaccination or 2 negative tests. And I got to be honest with you, I think that's the way to go. Not ban fans altogether like Canada's doing. But I think you do have to go to the route. Okay, if you want to come to games, show, you know, proof of vaccination. I think that's a fair and valid way to at least still let fans in, give them the opportunity to see the games, but say, hey, we're doing it in a safe manner, and this is how it's going to be. And I know a lot of people were, you know, bashing that. I mean, I saw even on Twitter, and it's like, guys, like, let's get past. We're not going to ever get past this if we don't, like. They have to, you know.
There has to be some kind of mutual agreement, right?
Exactly.
So, you know, the second that that the science behind what was going on, and you know me, right? I'm a science teacher, right? So I try to deal a lot with the factual information that I have. The second that scientific data became political, that's when it became muddy, right? So what I would tell people, and the same thing I tell my students, you know, go out and find your information, right? But make sure that you're finding information from credible sources. Make sure you're going in and you're educating yourself, and then make your decision. And whatever that decision is, right? You know, listen, I'll be completely transparent. I'm vaccinated. Got my booster a couple weeks ago. You know, and that's what I'm doing to keep me and my family safe. If you do that, do that. If you don't. But you know that, you know, the thing that I want to focus on with this is, you know, whatever the league and the teams decide to do, make sure that it's consistent, because I think that's where the NFL is getting really muddy right now, with, you know, changing rules midstream, midweek, making accommodations for some teams but not for others. And you know, this is, you know, it's the world we live in. But you know, try to keep yourself, you know, grounded in terms of making sure that you're getting your information from good spots, and you know, just take care of your friends and family.
I mean, there's really nothing else we could say about it.
No, there's not.
Self-explanatory. You know, obviously diving into, you know, the recap. Obviously, since our last show, the Flyers have played, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, and they have, in that stretch, went 3-4. Obviously, you know, they lost 7-1 in the game on Sunday, in which Carter Hart, you know, stopped 5 of 10 shots, and then of course AV gets fired the next day.
Right.
Then they lose the next night, obviously under a new coach, obviously interim coach Mike Yeo takes over. They lose that night 7-5. You know, which I got to be honest, I didn't really see it making a difference when you make a coaching change the same day and you play the next, you know, that same day. I don't see it, you know, and obviously it was the Avalanche too. Like, let's face it, the Avalanche are, you know, one of the top tier teams in the West. So, you know, it didn't really make much of a difference. Then the next game, they lose 3-0 to the Devils. Obviously, that was their 10th loss in a row. Of course, that's when the bag.
Oh, right.
The bag.
Listen, and the bag is something I'm going to talk about in our final thoughts.
Exactly.
But at that point, when you're in a full blown spiral, right? They don't know which way is up. The power play, which has looked less than mediocre at best on their best day, starts to look even worse. They're giving up insanely too many offensive opportunities. They're not defending the blue line. If there is any shining light on this team, my God, is it between the pipes? Like the way that Carter Hart has played throughout this process. And yes, he has had his ups and downs. He has had opportunities where he could have played better. But there are also places you're seeing, I think, the Carter Hart from last year. You're seeing the Carter Hart that had to make 48 saves, that had to stand on his head to keep the team in games. And the way that I see that, right, you're looking at games where they're they had 2 consecutive games where they're giving up 7 goals in that stretch. Like, I mean, it takes a lot to put together 10 straight losses, almost just as work as it would take to put together 10 straight wins. Jay, where do you stand on the bag? Because the bag was something that kind of came out. It was something that, for lack of a better term, it kind of galvanized the fan base a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta, between you and I, obviously, I didn't change my Twitter AVI, or my Facebook. Listen, I'm all about anything that fans want to do, and if the fans want to take credit for the bag, and the bag wants to take credit for the team turning things around, so be it. Just like I take credit for Bryce Harper winning MVP after my tweet went viral. He went on a tear and he wins MVP, so that's fine. I'm all about people taking credit for things, and I know it's like, it became kind of a laughing stock on, all over social media.
It did, but it kind of it galvanized the fan base. I'll be honest. I did. This guy right here changed the drunk on broad, right? And we put the bag on him for, a couple of days, but I think it gave the fans the opportunity to voice that displeasure in saying, like,
yes,
what are we doing? Like, and Jay, I don't know if I heard you say it on another show or heard someone say it, but like, or I might have seen it. You might have put it on Twitter or something. They're not going to change anytime soon. They have $1.6 billion in revenue. Like, this ownership group isn't going anywhere. No one is giving up this cash cow. But they're completely content with the goofy orange furry mascot running around being the face of their franchise instead of getting players that actually fit. And I think that what I'm seeing now, Jay, I think they're a lot closer to a rebuild than they are being relevant at all.
And Don, that's exactly why I haven't gotten overly excited about the fact that they actually had a 3-game winning streak. Not to mention the fact that they had a 3-game winning streak against 2 of the 3 teams they beat were pretty bad. I mean, they beat Vegas, and then they beat Arizona, who's a doormat, and then they beat the Devils, who, the Devils had beat us 3-0 previous, but the Devils are the Devils. They have a worse record than the Flyers. So to me, the reason I'm not getting overly excited about this team, and nor will I, is because no matter what changes they make, unless they make drastic changes that I've been saying on numerous shows, and you're right, it was me that kind of made that post, and I've been saying it on every show, and I feel like a broken record, and it's not that it doesn't make me less of a fan. It makes me honest and understanding of the fact that this team has not won a Stanley Cup since 1975. It's freaking ridiculous, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of every year the team doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, because that's exactly what they're doing. Like, if you want to be honest, yes, the team should rebuild. And, am I ready to sit here and say that they haven't improved in the last couple of games? No, absolutely they have improved. Obviously, a coaching change is going to make some kind of difference. If it doesn't, then you and I would be questioning, do these guys even have souls? Because you lost the team. You guys, the players, are the reason that the coach was fired, not the coach. So
yeah, I think for me, I look at right at the top, right? Who's the guy that has been quote unquote the face of this franchise for the last decade? Right, Giroux has for we talked about this when we had Jesse and Frankie on, like Giroux to me is a guy that has always had the opportunity to kind of elevate his game and go into that upper echelon of player and just never took advantage of it. And now I think it's time to turn that part of the roster over. I think you turn that over. I think you flip him for on that same show we talked about who bringing in a sniper, bringing in this guy, bringing in that guy. And Jay, we talked about this on volume 1, right? The East is stacked with teams, and this 10-game losing streak has buried them so deep that you almost consider selling off as many parts as you can sell to try to put yourself in the best position possible to, maybe get into the top echelon of that draft and see if you can get a guy that's going to be a game changer.
I mean, honestly, Don, that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm at the point where it's like mediocre to me or just making the playoffs isn't good enough. Like, I want a cup. It's been so long. And I the only player right now on this Flyers team, the only player that gets me excited is Carter Hart. Yeah. I mean, if it weren't for Carter Hart, this team would probably be in last place at the total bottom of the pile.
Jay,
Carter Hart has definitely been the bright spot, as you mentioned. He's playing with confidence, and the confidence that he's playing with obviously sometimes gets rattled, because the defense, which was actually the team's strength the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, has now slowly crept into the bottom half of the league as far as they're giving up more and more shots every game. I mean, even look at this last game, they gave up 40 shots. They've got to shore up this defense. And what's annoying is that they went out and we praised Chuck Fletcher for the moves that he made in the offseason. And I got to be honest with you. Now, I listen, injuries happen. And yes, while they are to a certain extent a reasonable excuse, at the end of the day, they're just an excuse. Because the point is this team is not deep. We don't have a lot of depth, and especially on the defensive side of things. You lost Ryan Ellis, and I'm not even so sure that Ryan Ellis, now looking back, maybe he came here hurt already. I don't know. But it's just frustrating. And to think that we were so high on this team coming into the season, I remember when we did our first show, even though we were high on the team, you and I both didn't see the Flyers finishing in the top of this division, because we're honest about the team. We know where they're at compared to the rest of this, rest of the East. And when
we drink regular colored Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
We're not drinking the orange Kool-Aid all the time, right? But we were all very realistic with what we thought this team was, right? At the beginning of the season, with the moves that they made, with the guys that they brought in, they were a fringe playoff team, right? They were not going to be able to compete with the teams at the top of the East, right? They weren't competing with Tampa's and Boston's and Florida and Carolina. Nate, off the top of my head, right? There's 4 teams we knew. So we knew that their opportunity to make the playoffs was going to be very limited. But God, it's so damn frustrating because it reminds me of this cycle where it's this. It's like the season of perpetual hope. Like and then it's like, right, but it took what, Jay? Say what, 12 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and everything's gone, right? I mean, we now are in a spot where we're having like we're essentially right back in the same spot we were this time last year.
Yeah, I mean, and that, my friend, is why I'm not overly excited. And I got to be honest, I'm a little concerned that this team is kind of taking the approach that, well, let's see how we do, and maybe if we can pull off a couple winning streaks here, we'll creep back into the playoff hunt, and then we'll buy at the trade deadline. Like, I'm actually worried that they're going to take that approach instead of doing the right thing and doing what we all know they need to do.
Right.
Like, we talked about Giroux. I mean, I'm going to tell you a couple other guys that I'm singling out right now on this team that are extremely disappointing, and I would not be unhappy if they were not here any longer this season, after this season. And one of them is Travis Konechny, because I got to be honest, I used to be super high on Travis Konechny, and I'm at the point now where every game he takes a stupid penalty.
Yeah,
he's not putting up any type of offense. I mean, the guy is a minus player every season. I don't know, what is he bringing to the table?
Yeah, and listen, Mike is right, was spot on. Like, when he was on, right, we were talking about how much fun they were. Those first couple weeks were great.
It was fun. It was,
and that last statement right there, right, seems like lifetimes ago. Right. It seems like in the time since those first couple of weeks where they kind of came out of the gate to now, like, it doesn't even feel like it's the same damn season.
I mean, there's two players. Like I said, there's one that excites me, and one that I think is on the upper echelon of who I actually like to follow. One's Carl Hart and the other one's Cam Atkinson. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
There are two players, and that's it on the whole roster. Like, listen, nobody excites me. Ivan Provorov has taken a step back. Ivan Provorov, listen, you're getting paid now. Like, you need to perform.
Like him, I'm not ready to give up on. But like,
I'm not saying I'm giving up on him, but what I am saying is he deserves to be criticized, and he's not performing to what is expected of as a number one defenseman.
Oh, absolutely. But like if it's me, like, I'm shopping any of those guys that they brought in on 1-year deals. I'm shopping them, right? Because you know that you're not going to compete for a playoff spot. You know you're going to be buried. Why not try to get like whatever? Here's the thing: whatever you're going to get out of that trade is a bonus. Because at the end of the year, you're probably leaving. They're leaving. Like, there are a handful of guys, Jay, that I'm not gonna move on, but it's not a whole lot, right? It's I love Atkinson. Provorov is a guy that I don't want to move on from. Like Mike brings up Farabee. Like, there are a couple of young guys that I'm not going to sell. But like, all those fringe guys, all those guys that they brought in on 1-year deals, like, if you can get anything for Giroux, JVR, Couturier, like, that Couturier deal that we thought at the beginning of the year was going to be like this uber crazy steal of a signing that we were getting, like this hometown discount. Now seems like that could be something that could be an anchor that could weigh this team down on the in the salary cap.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many aspects of the team, and it just like I said, even here we are, even after a 3-game win streak, and kind of a little reset from the 10-game losing streak,
Right.
and we're still pretty much negative about the team because they're giving you nothing to be hopeful for. That's the word I use.
Yeah.
I'm not hopeful for this team.
Well, there's not
right now.
Yeah, as it's constructed right now, you're looking at a team that is inconsistent, that struggles, that has a hard time capitalizing on offensive opportunities. Right, their scoring opportunities are few and far between. Jay, they're in, oh God, like in the East, they are buried. There's only I'm looking, Jay, they've got 28 wins. There's only 2 other teams that have less wins than them. Like the Devils have 28. Or wait, there are 3 teams that have less wins than them.
Points.
Right, so points. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Like what am I supposed to do with that as a fan? Like I look at that and I say sell, right? This season's toast. Sell off the pieces that you can get something for and look to try to build in the future. If you got an opportunity to build in the future, build. But
you see where my concerns are coming in because
absolutely.
Because what this team does and what their MO is exactly what's going to happen. They're going to start to they're going to start to go on a little mini run. They're going to start playing better hockey, as it's so called.
Right.
Obviously it's a team sport. We know that. We know that you don't have to have 10 elite players on your team to win the cup. I get that.
Right.
But let's face it, who's won the cup the last 5 years? There's been mostly elite teams. Besides the Blues, every team's had super elite players. Tampa Bay is not going away. They've shown that. They're missing Kucherov and Braden Point, and they're first in the league. Like
it's kind of like that to me is.
We have every player of our star players besides Ryan Ellis, and we can't freaking buy a win against the freaking Canadians. Like, come on, are you freaking kidding me?
No, you're not.
So infuriating to me. And what's more infuriating is the amount of people that I see that say, "Oh, well, the Flyers won 3 games. Like, they're back." No, they're not. They're not.
Well, those are people that are looking at that,
with rosy glasses. I get it, but
they've got the Broad Street orange glasses, and they're drinking the orange Kool-Aid. But it's people that don't want to. There's such in this city. There is such a desire we want it so bad. We want this team to be better. We want this team to win. We want them to be successful, but they're not. Right? So we can want it as much as we want. But the choices that are being made and the way that the organization is being run at the top, until you get rid of that and change that mentality at the top, and then it trickles down, Jay, I feel like there's a really good chance, Jay, that we're sitting here.
Hockey purgatory.
We are in hockey purgatory. We are in purgatory. We are not good enough to be in the top echelon, but we're just good enough to keep the fan base interested and relevant. I think the only way that you send a message
not go
is by not going.
But do you realistically think that's going to happen? Because I know it's not. That's the problem in this city. Nobody has the balls. Like, people will still go to the games because that's what they do. But to me, the only way that you do send a message is by not going. Because if you don't go and you start not, buying merchandise, you start hitting them in the pockets. Eventually, someone will. It might not be, let's get rid of, the guy at the top, but it might be, guys, we need to get somebody in there that is a better hockey mind, that's going to actually make good business decisions
right
for the team and for the new NHL. And that's why, and real quick, I don't want to keep rehashing it on it, but we didn't really get into any talks about like, maybe who you or I would want to see as a coach. But that's kind of why when someone asked me that question the other day on another show, as much as I love Rick Talkit, I don't know if he's the right guy for the job, because I'm at the point, knowing what I know about this organization, that's part of the problem, is that this organization keeps going back to guys that are linked to the organization and that are in lesser terms a yes man, and that's going to kind of run the philosophy that the Flyers are trying to run, which is that Broad Street bully mentality where they think that muckers and grinders can get you a Stanley Cup, and it's not that way anymore. It's a fact. Like, the NHL is different now.
Jay, I'm sincerely convinced that this organization is incessantly trying to get back to that era, and they try to do anything and everything that they can to relate back to that era, because it's the last time that they had any glimpse of success, right? So you look at the mascot, right? It's gritty, right? It refers back to that mucker and grinder mentality, right? You look at some of the coaches that have come through here, right? Former players, right? My fear with Talkit is the same kind of thing, right? It's that just constant recycling of in-house people.
Yeah, I love him as a person, loved him as a player.
Yeah, absolutely. Did I have his jersey as a kid? Yeah. Did I love watching him play? Yeah. Could he be a good coach in the NHL? Yeah. And he very well may be. But my apprehension with that is that it is constantly going back to the same. You're going back to the no. You're going back to the same toxic family to pull a relationship out of, right? To me, you've got to get out of that mentality. I think, a guy that's been talked about, like Tortorella, is a guy that's been talked about that I think could bring like a no nonsense, I'm not taking anybody's shit kind of, mentality. But yeah, I think Mike's, I think Mike's right. I think Yo is the guy for the rest of the season. I think it gives them a time to evaluate, whatever they have left on the roster at the end of the season, and then come in with a new coach, with a new mentality, and give that coach the opportunity to have some influence over the guys that are either brought in or, get rid of.
Yeah, I mean, unless somebody's kind of relieved of their duties from another team, like say the guy from the Islanders, I'm drawing a blank, won a cup with Washington.
Is that?
I'm drawing a blank.
So
I just had it in my head. He's a guy I would actually be interested in, but obviously he's not, available right now. I agree with Mike. I said that. I think you do need to kind of let Mike Yeo just run the team. Yeah, Trotz. That's it. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Yep.
I drew a blank. That's the kind of guy actually that I think would be what this team needs, because he's very aggressive minded, and he preaches, offense, and I think that's what this team needs. It needs an offensive minded mentality. Because if you really look at even last year's team had problems scoring. Even the year before they had problems. Like I said, we've been saying it for how long? Like, the last 40-goal scorer on this team was Jeff Carter, and that was what, 2 years ago. I mean, you need.
Wait, Jay, how about the fact that Jeff Carter is still playing?
Yeah.
Still playing for the Penguins, still being a productive player. Maybe not, he's not obviously lighting the world on fire, but that I didn't even realize, to be completely honest. I didn't even realize he was still in the league, and he's still in the league with the Penguins.
Yeah, I always liked Jeff Carter. I mean, I have some good memories from him back in the 2010. Obviously, that team was talk about the last real exciting team that we had.
Yeah.
11 years ago. Well,
Yeah.
12
Wow.
going on because it'll be 22.
Wow.
Just yeah, I mean, 12 years
Wow.
ago, dude, is the last time we were really.
Wow. I feel like the same way about like some other teams in this city.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's like a broken record, Don.
Jack, I feel like we could just take the audio from this episode and like
Change the
play it,
background, put Phillies, right?
change the background, put the Phillies background on there, right? Change the background. Now it's I feel like every like why can't we have nice things, Jay? Why can't we have nice things?
Because we are Philly. We are
yeah,
Philly.
I have to say that I am uberly jealous of the the 16-year-old New England kid who has probably seen more parades in his teenage years than I'll see in my lifetime.
Or even Tampa Bay, who has what? They have
Jesus Christ
every year now. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Lightning.
I mean,
the Bay Devil Rays are always good.
The Rays are relevant every year. Like,
I know. I know, Donnie.
Can't we have nice things? Good God, why can't we have nice things?
It gets to
well.
Anyway, what I know you wanted to.
Let's Jay. Let's go around the league, right? Let's talk about some teams that are actually fun to watch. All right, so here's the crazy thing, Jay. A lot of the teams, like the teams that I looked at in the top 5 for me, they're all in the East. Like they're all in the East. There's a large group of teams that are in that that high 30s, low 40s. No one's really kind of separating themselves. But where Tampa for me is at the top, right? Tampa's a team that just consistently kind of puts out great talent. The next man up mentality is right there every time. They've got goal scorers upon goal scorers upon goal scorers. Their back end net protection is incredible. Like, is there anybody better than Tampa? Can we settle that?
I have Tampa at number 1. I don't have anybody above them right now. I mean, as much as Toronto's kind of been the upstart team, if there's any other team, it would probably be Toronto, but I'm still iffy on Toronto only because I want to see it for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
I want to see a larger sample size before I'm ready to say that they are truly the real deal.
I'm right there with you.
I mean, Campbell's been amazing in net, but can he sustain it? Like, and that's the way I kind of look at a lot of the other teams. But obviously, Vasilevsky, obviously right now, I mean, he's in the top 10, but he's always every year in the top 5. So he's talk about just consistency in the model of consistency. Yeah, I don't see anybody that's going to kind of, overtake them for, they're going to have to fight it out to.
Oh, absolutely.
Toronto, Tampa.
But they like they've got between Stamkos. Yeah, it's like Carolina's right. So at the top, like look at Tampa, look at Toronto, look at Carolina. Right, the Rangers and the Capitals are on the come.
The Capitals, man. The Cat. See, if there is a team that I think that could beat Tampa this year, it would be Washington. And I say that because of the way that obviously Alex Ovechkin's playing. Like,
I mean, Jay, at his age right now, you could say that he's having his best season ever, right? He's for me, right, the early kind of MVP, right, kind of leader in the clubhouse with the combination of his age and production and his ability to be able to kind of elevate the play of that team. I'm uberly impressed. And we talked about him, right? He's a guy that, he would have fit right in the mold of what this city expects out of a hockey player.
And you brought it up on a previous show. Like a very good comp, was Eric Lindros. Obviously, Eric Lindros didn't have the tenure that Ovechkin had, obviously. No. But I think if you put Eric Lindros in today's game, where it's a lot less, there's more penalties and a lot less, more protection for the players, I think Eric Lindros absolutely would have thrived. I mean, he would have had 50, 60 goals.
It would be very McDavid Ovechkin-esque, right? He would have had with the way that the skaters are protected, especially in the middle of the ice. I think he would have had the ability to be able to kind of just, you would have seen plays like we've seen from McDavid earlier on in the year, where he is able to skate end to end and nobody's able to touch him with the speed and size that Lindros had. I think you would have been able to see that on a completely different level.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, Alex Ovechkin to me right now is the cream of the crop. Like, what he's doing at his age is unfathomable, and he's definitely, I'm rooting for him. If there's any guy that I've ever rooted for, like, obviously I'll always respect Wayne Gretzky, but I'm rooting for Alex Ovechkin now to overtake the records, because I feel like the way that he plays the game, how can you not love the guy? I mean, I saw somebody put up a poll, who would you rather have on your team? And, it was between him and Crosby. And I don't think it's close. Like, and they were like, well, Crosby has 3 cups. And I'm like, yeah. And Crosby also had, better goalies most of his career. Like, hockey's a team sport, but when it comes down to it, if you just take player for player and put them up against each other, I'm taking Alex Ovechkin every single day of the week, and then twice on Sunday. Like, it's not close. Like,
well, Jay, this week it would be twice on Tuesday.
Well, there you go. Because we don't have Sunday football. We have Tuesday football. 2 games, one at the Link, one at Wells Fargo. That's going to be a nightmare.
My advice, if you have the opportunity to take off Tuesday, take off Wednesday, if you can, because trying to get down there, trying to have both of those games happen simultaneously, it's going to be it's going to be a literal parking lot.
Absolutely, brother.
So, Jay, anything else you want to touch on in the around the league? Any players? Any guys that have impressed you?
It's the guy that's actually surprising me is Nazem Kadri on Colorado. He's a guy that it's always been a talented player, but he's kind of taken it to the next level this season. McKinnon was out, I believe, with COVID for a week and a half, and missed quite a few games. And they were also missing, I believe now they're missing Landeskog, but they have not missed a beat with Kadri. I mean, he's become like a playmaker. He's getting a lot of assists. He has 27 assists, but he has also scored 11 goals. So if I had to say a surprise player, obviously Steven Stamkos. We talked about Alex Ovechkin and what he's doing at his age. Steven Stamkos is older than Ovechkin, I believe, and he's been right there with in the scoring lead. And then I would say the other guy that's still kind of really impressive, and he started off super hot, and he's still trucking along, is Terry from Anaheim.
Oh, so correct me if I'm wrong. Right, Terry's the guy that Jesse brought up.
Yes,
The guy that kind of came out of nowhere.
Pick. Yes, he was a 5th-round pick, and nobody really ever even heard of him, and he's just been on fire. Obviously Anaheim's not really a great team, but he's showing a lot of promise and leading that team, and it's good to see stories like that. I guess my goaltender that's kind of surprised me, Jonathan Quick.
Yeah,
Kind of
absolutely.
not I don't think he's was their starter coming into the year, if I'm not mistaken. But
I believe so. I think you're right.
But he's actually picked it up, and I think the guy that you had mentioned in our debut show as a goalie to watch, Jarry from Pittsburgh.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, those guys have been impressive. I think the guy that I was thinking about, Jay, when I just thought of that just off the top of my head right now was Stamkos. Right in that Ovechkin-esque kind of conversation, right? Two guys that are kind of getting long in their career, but guys that are just continuing to produce, right? Got two guys that are in the top 10 in the league in scoring. And just two guys that continue to lead their team.
The ageless wonders.
Yeah. So I got to update everybody. So Mike, our friend Mike Giletto, who's doing a phenomenal job over at the Fired Up podcast. So Mike's he's got 200 on the Preds money line. He said he's turned into a full-blown degenerate. He's updating us in the comments. But apparently he needs the Preds to score. So if anybody's got any some Preds positive vibes, send them out there to him.
Michael, I will say 3 prayers.
There you go. Right 3 prayers. There you go. So, yeah, like those two guys were the two guys that I've been kind of just in lockstep, in terms of like they're guys that are producing at the back end of their career that are able to, to kind of move their teams and keep those team relevant. So, all right, Jay, I think it's time to do something fun. Let's get into some fun stuff.
Absolutely.
We got the holidays kind of running around here. So we've got we just for all of our friends in the Jewish community, they just finished Hanukkah. So, the shout out to the number one song on the Hanukkah list, the Adam Sandler 8 Crazy Nights. But just to talk some holiday movies and music and just kind of wrap this up with some fun topics. So, Jay, you want to go first? You want to start movies?
Sure, I'll go first.
All right. So, you got one on your list, Jay, that it starts off with a little bit of controversy here.
Yes. So this movie a lot of times gets controversy because many people say that it's not a Christmas movie, but to me, it'll always be a Christmas movie. Obviously, most people say why it's not a Christmas movie. But anyway, that would be coming in at number 5, Die Hard. I couldn't put it as my number 1 because obviously there's a lot of good Christmas movies, but I love Die Hard. I've actually 2 years ago, it came actually before COVID. I believe maybe it was 3 years ago now.
Okay.
It's hard to tell. Time's been so crazy lately.
Right.
I don't remember, but whatever it was, a couple of years ago, it came out at the theater the week of Christmas, and I went and watched it.
Okay.
And it was.
I do like there are. I think it's the Movie Tavern.
That's where it was.
Where they do old show. They show old movies for like $5.
Yeah, and that's where it was because I live near the one in Collegeville.
Okay,
that's where I live. I live in King of Prussia, but the Collegeville Movie Tavern is only like 15 minutes from my house. So
okay,
that's where I always go to movies. And I believe it was like it probably was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
They had it the week. I think it was actually only like 3 days. It was like maybe December 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
Okay.
And I went and saw it at the theater, and obviously I didn't see it at the theater when when it came out, but it was just cool to see it during the Christmas season.
Okay.
And I know, like I said, it's controversial. Some people say it's not a Christmas movie, but obviously it has all the Christmas, stuff going on in the movie, like the Christmas tree and.
Right. So the setting of the movie is the events take place around
Christmas,
but the storyline and nothing in the movie is Christmas. Okay. I get it. Hey, listen, whatever.
So that's why I feel that a lot of people qualify it as one, but of course, you're always going to have differing opinions on it. But that's why I picked it at number 5. It doesn't make my top movie. But coming in at number 4, I mean, this one's kind of my go-to, and that would be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Like,
so that's number 2 for me.
Okay.
That's number 2 for me. But like, there's so much that happens in that movie that just it puts you in the feels of the holiday season, but puts you in the feels of some of those times where it's really stressful and there's a lot going on and trying to take a step back and figure out what's right and what's wrong and what to do. But like, there are so many quotable lines from that movie.
It is.
My God.
What's your favorite quote? What's your favorite? What's your favorite? Scene from the movie?
God, I love the part where he's walking in from his garage, right? And the Christmas tree already burns up, and he takes out the chainsaw, right? And his neighbor goes, "What are you? That's not going to fit in your living room." And he goes, "Wait, where are you going to put a tree that big? Bend over and I'll show you." And then he just puts the Jason mask down, revs the chainsaw. But like, to the cousin pulling up in the RV, shitter's full, Clark.
Come on, man. Like, that's definitely the best line, man.
There's so many good. I'm sure, the part where he's hanging off the gutter, the icicle pops off, shoots into the neighbor's house, everything burns up, man. That movie is great.
It is definitely my go-to. Like, if I want to laugh, I could watch that even non-Christmas time.
Anytime.
So that comes in at number 4. Number 3 for me is it could have very well even been on my number 1, but I have a couple other ones that, for personal reasons, are higher.
Okay.
More so just because I remember where I was at when I watched them.
Gotcha.
But and that would be Elf. But like I said, it very well could be my number 1. Dude, Will Ferrell. I mean, Will Ferrell has quickly become one of my top all-time comedians. I mean, the guy is just amazing, what he does. Like, everything he touches kind of turns to gold as far as
it really has. For me, that's my number 1.
Okay.
I had my son is obsessed with Christmas. At one point, when he was like, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4, he listened Christmas songs every night for like 3.5 years straight. Like every night, not just Christmas season, but like in the middle of July, September, October, April, all the time. But for he and I, that's the like the rainy day movie. That's the movie that we pop in any time of the year. If my wife and daughter go out and the two of us are just there, what do you want to watch? It's always Elf. And it's, to me, it's a the feel good part of that is, I just the storyline, the feeling, it's funny, but then hits you in the feels in all the right moments.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's why these lists are kind of, they're so, it's the word I'm looking, subjective, because there's so many variables. And like I said, it very well could be my number one. So I love all these movies, by the way, including Die Hard. My number two obviously kind of has that feel good type story to it. And that would be Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because to me, like me and my sisters, like, we used to watch it every year for until I was probably 10. So I just remember vividly watching it, and I still watch it. Usually comes on a day or two before Christmas, and Christmas Eve. A lot of times, if I'm home alone, I'll watch it just because it just gives me that feeling of Santa Claus and just everything about it. And I was talking, I had a show, we did Sports and Metal before this, and we also did, favorite movies.
Oh, nice.
And I brought up the fact that, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Abominable Snowman, I used to be so freaked out by that thing. Yeah. And I asked Aaron, and Aaron was like, no. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? That thing scared the shit out of me. I was literally scared of the Abominable Snowman. I thought it was real and it was coming after me. So that's my number.
But listen, Jay, you remember you talk about watching that with your kid. I can remember sitting at my grandparents, and before everything was all access, on demand, watch it anytime you want, right? What was that lineup? It was Rudolph, and it was Frosty, and it was all those claymation animation shows. The Christmas Carol, the Grinch, right? All those were, that's just what was on, and that was running. But completely agree. Your number one, Jay?
And then my number one is and it will always be number one, just because every time I watch it, it kind of gives me chills. Just because I was at just the age when it came out that it just hit me. It was just a great movie. Not even just Christmas movie. It was just a phenomenal movie. And that's Home Alone. Every time I watch it, I get chills, just because I remember the first time I watch it. And I was blown away of how good of a movie it was. And since
tell you what, I enjoy watching that movie as an adult. Right, because there's just enough. There's just a little bit of adult humor built into that, and talk about a guy who's a really John Hughes, right? So it's a John Hughes film. So you talk about those guys and the movies that they produced at that time, right? It gave you all the dynamics of him with the family, with him with the siblings. And then it moves into the dynamic between him and, talk Joe Pesci, right? Joe Pesci in that role as the villain, right? I love how that story kind of evolves through that movie, and just kind of, again, it does something that, we're talking about. It hits you in the feels.
Most definitely, man.
The best scene in that movie for you, Jay? I got one in mind.
I mean, yeah.
You might surprise me, right? I love the scene in the church with the choir, and he's just sitting there by himself, and then the neighbor who he thought was super scary comes in and sits down, and when you talk about hitting you in the feels, right, it's all in that scene. And then as soon as that scene ends, right, it flips. He runs home, and then he's defending the house, and it's all the traps that he set up, and everything, next thing you know, Joe Pesci's head is on fire. They got a nail going through their foot. They're stepping on, cars and broken glass. Like,
mine's
that movie,
the bathroom scene when he
with the aftershave.
Yeah,
that is great. There were all right. So
our list
we talked
cross
a little bit. So I had Elf 1, I had Christmas Vacation 2, the two, and then I had Home Alone 4. But the two that we didn't hit on, the Santa Claus, right? With Tim Allen. Love the storyline and how he has to, it gives him a glimpse. It almost reminds me of like a the Christmas Carol, kind of giving you a glimpse into the other perspective. But I just love the humor and the dynamic between Tim Allen is great. And then Fred Claus is number 5.
Very good.
Fred Claus is just like, I feel like Fred Claus is like an underrated Christmas movie.
Definitely
that
underrated.
doesn't get a whole lot of
credit.
Doesn't get a whole lot of credit. But again, talk about in that same kind of Will Ferrell, Vince Vaughn does a great job at being like the petty younger brother of Santa Claus and being bitter, and the fact that the dynamic between him and the fact that he's a repo guy and he's taking people's stuff away, and Santa Claus is like he does the complete opposite of whatever Santa Claus is doing, and then they have the opportunity to kind of see things from each other's perspective. Just
Absolutely.
I just love it.
No, they're all good picks.
The one that I just thought about just now. Have you ever seen the movie Scrooged with Bill Murray, or was it Bill Murray? Where he's in it, he's going. It's almost like a Christmas Carol. It's called Scrooged. So he's in it.
I haven't actually watched it. I've always said that I want to watch it, and then I never do. And now that you just mentioned it, I think you just gave me a good movie to watch tonight when we're done.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's definitely one worth watching.
Cool.
All right, Jay. Christmas songs.
All right, you want me to go first too? Yeah, I know. So, first and foremost, like Christmas music to me, I love, but I get sick of it only because I work retail and they start playing it the day after Thanksgiving, so I have to hear it.
Fair enough.
9 hours a day, so it kind of takes away from the meaning. But if I had to pick my 5 favorite Christmas movies, I obviously have a top 5, and this one coming in at number 5. This probably makes pretty much everybody's top 5 list if you're anybody of a fan of music in general, and it's obviously because I love not just her voice, but she's just a great performer, and that's Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You." Yeah. Like, there's no other person that does that version better than her. Like, it's just absolutely, when you hear it, it's so recognizable. Yeah. I'm definitely going to check it out. Yeah. Steven chimed in.
Yeah.
For me, my number 4 might be a little off the radar, but this is definitely one of my go-tos and one that I really enjoy, especially because I love both artists. I love Bing Crosby and I love David Bowie. And that's
talk about that polar opposite, right?
Exactly. So that would be Peace on Earth, the Little Drummer Boy. I mean, just when I hear it, it's just like you said, the combination is like ultra opposite, but when they kind of work together, it's kind of a masterpiece. So that comes in at number 4. For me, number 3, this female artist always makes my top. She may be, in my opinion, the top female artist of all time, and that's Whitney Houston. Do You Hear What I Hear? Mm-hmm. Awesome rendition of that song.
Love it.
Number 2, obviously, I'm a metal guy.
I was waiting for this. I thought it was going to be number one. I was waiting for this.
Yeah. Well, this band, I mean, I could pick a lot of their songs, but obviously my favorite is Christmas Eve Sarajevo by Trans-Siberian Orchestra. If you haven't heard it, by the way, put it on in your car and crank it to 10, like during Christmas time when you're driving by lights. That's all I'll tell you. It's just, yes.
Jay, you were reading my mind. I was literally just going to say, just put it on and just turn it up.
Yeah, or like say you're going to go to like, what's the place?
Longwood.
Longwood, yeah. If you go there, like when you're coming into where you can see the lights, crank it. Like it gives you chills, like the feeling of like, Christmas music. And
it really does.
Hearing the guitar and stuff. So that's my number two. Yeah, it could have been my number one, but my number one is one that never gets old, regardless of if it's Christmas or I can listen to it in the dead of summer. Okay. And that's Last Christmas by Wham.
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
That's great. I love it. Yeah, no, I love it. When we had talked about doing this, I was waiting for that. For the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and I can't. The only thing that I always think about is like I can't imagine what that feels like live.
Oh, dude,
I can. It probably.
Man, I'm telling you, when next time they come around, they do come to Philly occasionally.
They do.
With COVID, they haven't been around, but they're awesome, dude. They really are.
All right, so at number 5. So number 5, I went to somewhere that my grandmother straight off the boat from Italy. So a song that was always on in her house was Dominic the Donkey. It was just it was fun. It was a way for her to teach me about Italian culture, right? So I love that. I love Christmas rapping by the waitresses.
Okay, yeah.
Right, just a fun, feel good, a fun song to sing, cool song to put on in the car. The next one I had, so Santa Claus is Coming to Town, but by 2, I couldn't pick an artist over one, and so I love both renditions by the Jackson 5, but then also I love the Springsteen version. The one that's live in concert, the one that always gets played.
Yeah, it's hard to pick.
Yeah,
so I agree.
I had All I Want for Christmas Is You. Again, just fun. Put it on, sing, dance, whatever. Just makes you feel good. And then the number one for me is the Christmas song by Nat King Cole.
Okay,
right, just a classic. Put your feet up on the couch, sit in front of a fireplace with the tree in the background. Lights are on, or not. Lights are off. Christmas lights are on.
Eggnog in hand.
Eggnog in hand.
Cookies on the table.
Listen, check out Chip's wife for parent hacks. She has convinced her children that Santa prefers wine instead of cookies and milk. Shout out to Tila Kegs for parent hacks.
Gotta love Tila. If you haven't checked her out,
it's next level thinking right there. Next level parent thinking. Jay, anything else you want to get out before we kind of wrap up?
No, I think it's been an awesome show, my friend.
It's been great.
It's always good getting together with you, man.
Absolutely. Hopefully the holiday season is out, right? So, if you're looking for some last minute, some things to kind of give your close people in mind, something new to kind of put under the tree. We've got some sponsors that have some really good quality merchandise. So the first one is our sponsor, La Terrain Watches. So La Terrain, you're going to use on this show, you're going to use the code DOB. Or if you're supporting Jay's other show, Sports and Metal, you're going to use the Sports and Metal code. But you've got some really cool American-made, really quality, watches. So if you got someone who's kind of in the verge for some timepieces, you've got those in mind. Just make sure you're using those codes at checkout. The next one is one of our new sponsors, Team Clicks, which is a really cool sports themed glassware. Where the coolest thing, Jay, and if you look, Jay's got them on right now. They are team themed. So if you've got your Flyers glasses like Jay has on right now, but then he decides, the Eagles play on Tuesday.
I have them right here.
The Eagles play on Tuesday. Oh, these glasses, if you look, they've got the interchangeable side pieces. So
I got them. I got
Jay,
the side pieces to show.
Let's give you the spotlight here.
So
look at this.
I got the glasses with the blue lens, so it's actually not dark, but they're still sunglasses. And as you can see, it has the Flyers emblems. But then if you get bored and you want to put the Eagles game, wear them to the Eagles game, it comes with these side.
That's awesome.
Inserts. You just take
so cool. Off. So
like that.
If you've got that in mind, people, if you want to be able to go and get those sports themed sunglasses, eyeglasses, whatever you need, you make sure you go over to Team Clicks. You go over and check out, make sure you use the link down at the bottom, Team Clicks DOB, and make sure that you're going over there to check out our content. You've also got the Drunk on Broad and the Drunk on Ice merch store. Anywhere over there, if you go check the links are in our bio in the link tree to go check out the merch. And the last thing I want to talk about is something that we decided we were going to do to kind of spread some holiday cheer, which is we are going to give away one of our Drunk on Broad trucker hats. So if you look, that Drunk on Broad trucker hat is yours to be had. All you got to do, we've kind of partnered with a local animal rescue called Don't Bully Us. So all you got to do is make a donation of any amount. Make it $1, make it $5, $10, whatever you can do. Make a donation. Send us the screenshot, whether it's a DM in Twitter or email or whatever way you want to get in touch with us. Make that donation, and then we're going to draw. And then we've also, not only is that winner going to get a hat, but that winner, we are also adding a $50 gift card to either Target or La Esperanza restaurant in South Jersey. So we're trying to, kind of spread some holiday cheer, try to get, some support for some of our, local rescues that are in mind, try to keep everybody kind of keep that revenue stream flowing. So, try to help them out in any way we can. So if you have the opportunity to head over to the link that's in the Twitter post, all you got to do is click on that and then go make a donation, send us the screenshot, and you'll be entered into that contest. We're going to pick that winner the week between Christmas and New Year's. So got a lot of opportunities to go out and support local podcasts. Jay, anything else you want to mention? Anything else you got going on before we head out?
No, the only message I want to give everybody is just
final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Sorry, I forgot. Brain fart.
That's okay. Final thoughts are, don't really have any final thoughts on the Flyers, except that, you know, I'm looking forward to a reset, and hopefully this organization will see that they do the right thing and kind of make some changes. But that's my final thoughts.
Jay, so I'm going to share something a little bit. We've talked a lot on here and on other shows about mental health and how important that mental health piece is. Had something really cool happen at school today. I've had a couple of kids at school that have been really struggling with mental health, being virtual for a year and a half, coming back in the building, stresses at home, and really tried to take part of the day to kind of make sure we're taking care of that mental health piece. I had a student come in today, and just the exchange was very, very genuine. He goes, "Mr. Conaway, do you like coffee?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." He goes, "Great. This is for you." And I was like, "What is that?" He goes, "It's coffee from my favorite YouTuber." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." He goes, "Thanks for helping me with my mental health." Right? Talk about just a profound, I was stunned, right? This child is 14, right? Struggling with mental health, but took the time to be able to go and seek out something that he thought I would like, just as a way to say thank you. So my message out there to everybody, go check on your people, check in with your people. That communication is important. Make sure if it's a text, if it's a phone call, if it's a direct message, if it's whatever it is, check in on your people. The mental health piece is important. There's a lot of stuff going on with the holidays right now. Just make sure you're checking in on everybody. All right, everybody, have a great night, and we will see you just before New Year's to kind of celebrate ring in the new year. Jay, go Flyers.
Yeah, go Flyers. And